That's Dr. Hunny. You know that one?
Yeah, I did a little research on this, the deed of Herod, and I saw that was his wife, and he was so in love with her, and he put her in honey. Now, the one thing they don't say is that he has sex with her, but it's implied.
It is implied, and
like every visit, or just once in a while.
Well, we have no video footage of this stuff, obviously.
But I think they actually said he kept her like in his bedroom.
Really?
I think she was in his bedroom, and I think that he did it. Unless I'm getting him confused with another king, he ended up having two wives.
He remarried after her. She was his first wife, and the reason why he married her is because King Herod, even though he was king of the Jews, he was not Jewish. He was actually an Arab. And so to solidify his reign and be able to pass it on to his children, he married into Jewish royalty.
Brings a whole new meaning to the phrase, "Hey, honey." Yeah. You got some honey-bound mummy that you're sticky screwing in the corner. That's got to be a sticky, smelly screw.
Well, it was a complicated relationship because although he loved Miriam, it was really a political marriage, meant to gain power. And on top of that, every time he went off to war or left the palace somewhere, he gave explicit instructions that if he didn't make it back alive, that she should be killed. So, love-hate relationship.
I bet she was cheering him on then. Go get him, honey. Go get him. Well, yeah, bitch, I die. You die. You better cheer for me.
She supposedly had killed herself, but it wasn't until after she bore her two sons. So in a way, the damage was already done.
It was already tore up anyway. Yeah.
So that's the first case of necrophilia?
Well, it's probably not the first, but it's the oldest and most significant one that I can talk about. But there's another fella that we also talked about named Carl Tanzler. Do you remember this one, or do you want me to go into it?
I don't.
Right.
AKA Hot Carl. No, that's good.
Hot Carl Tanzler said he was a lot of things. He said he was a submarine captain. He said he was a count. He said he was a doctor. But in reality, he was a radiologist from Key West who had an estranged marriage kind of thing.
I remember that.
He was 53 years old, and one day a 21-year-old Cuban young woman, walked into the hospital he was working at, and he just fell head over heels in love with her. Unfortunately, this woman, her name was Maria Elena de Hoyos, or Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos. She had tuberculosis, which was quite common in that time period.
That's tasty.
She died. He could not let her go, though. He volunteered to pay for her funeral and bought her this elaborate mausoleum. Now, this is Key West, mind you, so it's heat, it's hot, and the mausoleum's above the ground.
So she definitely has a sweaty tank, for sure.
Right. So her family agreed. Thank you so much. You gave her a great burial. They didn't realize that he had the only key to this mausoleum.
Yeah, I'll take care of her for you.
And from day one, he did take care of her.
Fuck it, while it's still fresh.
From day one, he was there every single night until about 2 years in. He finally decided to take this relationship to the next level, and he took her from the mausoleum to this shack that he was living in a child wagon, of all things, and kept her there. And as her body started to disintegrate and basically decomposed, he wired her bones together and started to replace her skin with pieces of cloth and created a mask for her. He got glass eyeballs and created almost like a doll of her, but it was really her.
He was just fucking the rest of her up, huh?
Well,
he smashed it up, there goes her hip, up and up, her shoulder just fell off, making a ragus and string.
He even created a tube for that very purpose, and so in some ways you could say that Carl Tanzler was the inventor of the pocket pussy.
Definitely a turn off for a pocket pussy.
The real thick part is that this went on for 10 years. This went on for about 9.5 years until he was finally caught. His sister became suspicious and
or jealous.
Went into his residence and found this dead body. He was tried for they were going to try him for abuse of a corpse type thing or grave robbing because there was no particular statute. But the statute of limitations, because of the 9 years it had ran people were sympathetic because they actually found the story romantic. You can believe that shit.
9 years.
So romantic.
Yeah. So, well, this goes into another subject, not another subject, but another dimension of this topic, and that is these two people that we just spoke about. Is it really about sex? I mean, we know that this guy in particular did have sex. We could speculate that Herod did. Or is it really about possessing something?
Love you, Mom. Hey, Mom's watching. what an excellent show for Mom to come on and watch. Love you, Mom. Sorry you gotta watch this episode.
I hope you feel better, Mom.
Yeah, we all do. Love you.
Yep. But so.
Yeah. I think for King Herod, I think it was about possessing. I think for the radiologist, I don't know. He was just so like. I mean, Herod was supposedly really crazy in love with his wife too, but his was. I mean, kill her if I don't come back.
Right.
You know, his was about control.
Maybe it's a way just to get back at her. It's like, she's such a cunt. He's like, alright, bitch, I'll take your cut when you're dead. He just smacked him and he was dead. He rammed it in her ass and she was dead. He's like, alright, bitch. And you're getting yours now. Yeah, I win in the end.
Herod wanted to possess her, like, you know, he was the king. He was used to that. But that radiologist, I just think he just loved her, like a really demented love.
He also believed that he was that part of his shack was actually an airship that he was building, and he wanted to take her into the stratosphere, where he believed that the radiation from the sun would revitalize her and bring her back to life.
Or at least warming up a little bit. Damn.
Right, yeah.
That shit was probably cool as fuck.
I think we can agree that Carl was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which a lot of them are. But we have.
Well, I mean, you have to be, don't you?
To do this type of thing, you would think. And unfortunately, I guess, you know, the same thing with most sexual crimes, it seems to be male dominated. A lot of serial killers, I think we talked before the show started a little bit about Jeffrey Dahmer. He tried to create sex zombies. He didn't want people to leave him, so he would like knock them out and then drill holes into their head and put weird, you know, solutions into their brains and leave them in a half live, half dead state while he continued to have sex with them.
Yep.
Or didn't he keep like hands or body parts and continue to have sex with them?
Yeah.
Then there's
He keeps the hand.
But he wanted them somewhat responsive. He just wanted them to stay. He didn't want them to leave.
Please don't go.
He probably tied strings to them, make their arms move around like a puppet.
Like, he wanted to learn how to lobotomize them.
Yes.
Just right, so that they could just stay and be his sex slave and love him.
Amen for the year 2000s.
I heard that, what's his name? The guy that they created Psycho about, what was it?
Norman Bates?
Ed Gein, the original.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Psycho, and what Texas Chainsaw Massacre refers to is Ed Gein. And Ed Gein, when they raided his house, they found a shoebox full of vaginas.
Oh my gosh.
They were, but they were real, dried out, like
pubic bone, everything. It was just like complete, like.
Wow.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Carl created the pocket pussy, then Ed created the shoebox pussy.
Yeah.
What about
Tack it to his shoebox, you're good to go.
What about Ed Kemper and what he did to his mother?
Oh my God! You want to tell this one?
Well, I mean, I don't know all of Ed Kemper's background, but I know that he killed his mother, and he decapitated her, and he made her head give him oral sex quite often.
How do you make it do that? Did you just like
just opened his mouth and did it?
Oh, okay. Right.
I also heard another story about somebody that was a mortician, I think, that he would do that. He would go in at night, and any of the corpses that were there, and he was very proud of himself that he had to make sure they were disease free and clean, and once he figured out that they were really clean, he'd open their mouths and he'd climb up on top of the table and he'd have them give him oral sex.
Wow.
So.
Ed Kemper, the story, which we're not supposed to laugh at this stuff, but fuck it.
Well, look at that. You can see my dick from here.
You have to. It's a way to deal with trauma is laughter, so sorry, folks. Ed Kemper's story with his mother was that apparently she berated him verbally quite through his whole life. And he came home one night and she was pissed drunk because she was a drinker. And she basically was complaining complaining about because of him, she can't even get fucked. She can't even find a man, and she
That's
can't
right.
get fucked because of you, Ed. And so Ed chopped her head off, fucked her in the mouth, and said, "Now you're fucked."
Right. That's right. I remember that.
Can't wait till time travel. You know, you can go ahead and do that to somebody, then videotape it and go back again and say, hey, look, I want to fuck your mouth in the future.
So, oh my
I want
God,
to fuck your dead head. There you go.
the ultimate revenge. That's-
On the next episode of Sanitarium. Time travelers now fuck mouths. There you go.
Jesus Christ.
Revenge.
I heard a story. I was reading a story yesterday about, and it was in a different country. I don't know what country, but it was one where necrophilia is not illegal. And the man died, and his last wish was that his wife would have sex with him. She was his estranged wife, and she had come back to him right before he died. And so he wanted her to have sex with him. And they actually, like the community, forced her to have sex with him in front of all of them.
Jesus.
And he was dead.
This
And I still wonder how they do that.
Well, it is a
Karen
stiff.
Greenlee
They call it
talked about
stiff
that.
for a reason.
Yeah, but they don't all die with an erection, and it's not possible. I mean, that
That's
doesn't
the only
happen
way to
all the
go.
time. I think Karen Greenlee actually did discuss. You know, I mean, her thing was, well, there's a lot of ways to have sex. It doesn't have to be penetration.
Yeah.
But she also, I thought she talked about a way to have penetration with a cadaver. I don't know. I thought.
Like a scissor or something? Oh,
I don't
man.
know how you do it.
This show's terrible. I can see Roku going,
It is bad. People will always tell me, why don't you have your show on your podcast on YouTube? I'm like, are you kidding me? They would
It
ban
sucks.
so
Everybody's on it. It sucks. And the
Yeah,
censorship sucks.
Have you ever seen a movie called Harold and Maude?
Yes.
Great movie, but prepping for this episode, it made me, and I love that movie, but it made me really think about it. In the very beginning of the movie, Harold and Maude meet at a funeral, and it's because both of them like going to funerals.
Yeah, they're obsessed with funerals
They're
and
obsessed
death.
with funerals, and then of course she's like 80 and he's like 17, and then they end up falling in love. Do you think that's like a gateway movie to necrophilia, or?
You know, I thought about that. I don't know that it is. I mean, obviously their obsession. I don't. Maybe necrophilia has, and I think it does. There's different layers. Some people are necrophiliac just to the point where they're obsessed with death and dead bodies, but they would never act on it. They'd never have sex with a corpse. But then you have the other people who actually go so far as to have sex with.
Hey, what was that movie? I saw that movie not too long ago. It was some like yuppie girl in school everybody hated, and they killed her by the river on accident or something. And they kept coming back and smashed in the body for several days until the school got involved and cops got involved.
Was that a River's Edge from the 90s?
That's probably what it is. I had seen it like a year ago. I just thought about it.
The old ass movie. That's from the early 90s. I think Keanu Reeves was in that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I never saw it.
Great movie. River's Edge. Dennis Hopper was in it too.
Is there? Do they actually do
No,
something?
they don't show that.
They don't show.
Is it implied?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
It's a weird movie. If you ever want to watch a good movie, it's worth watching.
Okay.
They smashed it for several days.
Because like Dennis Hopper's character in it is a little bit fucking crazy too. He's this like half crippled biker guy who never leaves his house, and it has this obsession over a sex doll that has a name. This is a great segue into another
Disaster.
another part of this topic is that guys who use sex dolls, is that somehow similar to necrophilia? Because you're with something that is unresponsive. It can't respond. It's emotionless. In essence, it's dead.
Like, is it a gateway drug?
Yeah, or
Sounds like an ex-wife.
Or you're a closeted necrophilia.
Are you closeted necrophilia?
I mean, it could be. I mean, that's
It's full of air. It's not embalmed.
Right. I mean, there is obviously a difference, but he's getting off on something that doesn't move. But I I think with the majority of people, it's just loneliness and, you know, they're tired of their hand.
I'm lonely, I can't get none, I'm gonna go fuck a zombie.
There are some
Good
people that
job.
just won't even take the time to go, you know, try to figure it out and find somebody, or they're socially unable.
Reminds me of a movie called, what was it called? It was called While It's Still Warm. Or While It's Warm. No, it's good. That'd be a funny name for a
Where the
porno.
hell did you see this movie at?
That's not really a movie. I was thinking it'd be funny for a porno parody. While It's Warm.
Have you ever been with a man who asked you not to move, just to lie still?
No. That would be weird.
So you be still, shut up, while he's packed you with ice, then you know there's a problem. there was a terrible story I had read a while back, and it was this. How do you explain this one? Basically, someone was having sex with corpses a lot, and they were in another relationship with a real person, and they had transferred some kind of worm or body something bacterial something onto her chest. He was like nutting on her chest, and it was like breaking her out, causing little worms and shit on her chest, because he was fucking corpses at work.
I was reading something about that yesterday, that
Oh my god.
people used to get some sort of worm from fucking dead people.
Really? Jesus Christ, I missed that one.
Yeah, you couldn't figure out why her chest was broken out and zombified, because, yeah, that's disgusting. Only on a sanitarium.
Along the lines of unresponsive lovers, if you want to be that generous with the term, people who roofie other people, you know, they drug them and knock them out and then have sex with their unconscious bodies. Is that somehow a form of necrophilia?
I don't know that is. I think that's a form of power. You know, it's a control thing. Plus, well, I mean, I want to say that it's more of a power show of power. You know, they take them in that manner, that they can do that to them. But then on the other hand, even as I say it, I'm thinking, I mean,
yeah,
I think
that person being around
they want to rape them, and they just don't want to go to jail.
Would you imagine pissing?
You can go anyway.
Imagine pissing that ghost off.
I don't know.
You fuck a horse and that ghost comes back and gets you. Yeah.
You think about like something like Bill Cosby, where some of his victims, at least one of them I heard said, he didn't have to do that to me. I would have slept with him anyway, right? This woman was down with it. I mean, Bill was famous, right? And when he was a young man, young handsome guy, plenty of money, and yet he felt the need to actually drug these women and have sex with unconscious bodies.
I mean, you could, that could be true. That you could be dead on. That's exactly dead on.
While he's eating a pudding pop.
But I also think that it could be a case of wanting to rape somebody, but not wanting to, you know, pay the consequences for an actual, you know, awake rape. Yeah. They're going to go to jail a lot quicker.
And what do you think, though? Killing them, knocking them out, screwing them, and go place it back on the stool, they're not going to know what happened? I mean, come on.
Right. He got away with it for what, 50 years?
A long time.
Yeah, so did OJ.
Right. Well, that's a whole different. Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. Well,
the glove didn't fit, damn it.
As somebody who's you know, who counsels other people on some sexual kinks or deviances or things like that, I mean, doesn't that, when it rape, I know a lot of guys, you know, they say rapists are sometimes impotent, right? That seems to be a common